All right, so it's time to talk about this weekend's bomb cyclone that's going to bring blizzard conditions across the Carolinas. And it's going to be a tricky one because up in eastern Massachusetts, I do think that they are going to get clipped by this storm. And I do mean clipped. I mean, it's going to be very, very close for eastern New England, up in eastern Massachusetts and parts of Rhode Island. But it's going to be a very, very close call. And I'll show you here why in a second. But let's take a look at the snowfall map that I just created and the current winter weather alerts because the Carolinas are lit up right now. Let's take a look at that. So here is the snowfall map that I created for our weekend's bomb cyclone. You're going to get a region of 6 to 12 inches here in portions of northern and central South Carolina into North Carolina and along the coast where they're going to experience blizzard conditions. And I'm not quite sure why the National Weather Service hasn't issued blizzard warnings yet. But I do believe that the criteria will be met, and I do believe that those will be posted probably overnight, maybe into the day tomorrow. But we're going to have another region of 6 to 12 here in the higher elevations of Tennessee and North Carolina, western North Carolina. And then a broad region of 3 to 6 inches. There's 3 to 6 inches across Georgia, South Carolina, other portions of North Carolina, and portions of Kentucky. And then a coating to 3 here surrounding that region. And now let's take a look at the current winter weather alerts. And yes, we have winter storm warnings posted, valid through Sunday night, Sunday evening, along all the entirety of North Carolina, South Carolina, a large chunk of Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and southern Virginia, and portions of West Virginia. So then we have winter weather advisories surrounding that. And then, yes, freeze warnings down in Florida because it is going to be cold. And that's a key to this storm. We had an Arctic injection that surged all the way down south ahead of this storm, which is going to, I mean, the cold air is in place and we have the storm forming. It's going to throw that precipitation onto the cold side and then we're going to get snow. So this is like the perfect setup. And I mean, we're going to have a bomb cyclone. We're going to have blizzard conditions in the Carolinas before we even experience blizzard conditions up in PA. I mean, the last time I think that we had a blizzard was 2016 in Pennsylvania. The Carolinas are getting a blizzard before us, which I'm kind of ticked off about. I'm not going to lie to you. Now let's take a look at the models quick. We're going to keep this nice and short. All right, so here we're going to take a look at the Euro model, and here is our bomb cyclone that will be forming through the day tomorrow off the coast of the Carolinas. And look, this is 1 p.m. tomorrow, and the snow is really starting to crank up across eastern North Carolina and South Carolina. And look at this. This is through the evening hours. And this is when, right around here is when the winds are going to be very intense along the coastline. And you're going to have pretty heavy snowfall rates too. All right, so here is the Euro model, and we're going to move this along quick. And look, you see through the day tomorrow, the storm is going to start forming. This is 1 p.m. And then the snow really starts to crank up across eastern North Carolina and into South Carolina. And this is when I think that the blizzard condition criteria will be met. It will be through the evening hours tomorrow into the overnight period, especially along eastern North Carolina coastline. You're going to have very strong wind gusts and very heavy snowfall rates for an extended period of time. So I do think that they're going to issue blizzard warnings, especially for eastern North Carolina, but that we'll have to wait and see. But I do believe that blizzard condition criteria will be met. And then let's take a look at, because it starts to wrap up, then it starts to move on out through the overnight period. I mean, they're still going to be getting some snow potentially along eastern North Carolina into very early Sunday morning. But then look up here into eastern New England, and I'm talking eastern Massachusetts in the Cape Cod area. I mean, they're going to get clipped with some snow. It's not going to be a lot, but they are going to get clipped. Rhode Island is a very close call for you guys. I don't think that you're going to see maybe some snow showers out of this, less than an inch, I do believe. But Cape Cod, a few inches is not out of the question. And I'm going to zoom in here just so that we can take a closer look at this region, because that's the tricky spot, is up in eastern New England, eastern Massachusetts. Here we go. Let's move this along here. And look at that. Look in eastern Massachusetts. We get clipped with some snow. And I do believe that it's going to be close enough that I do believe eastern Massachusetts will see some. I put a region on my snowfall map of right through here is where I believe a coating to 3 inches is possible. And then further east, I do believe a region of 3 to 6 is on the table. I mean, now if you look at the GFS still clips you with some snow, but it's not nearly as much as what the European is showing. And I'll show you why, because it's all in the upper levels. Let's take a look at the GFS. You still get clipped with some snow, but look at that. It's not nearly as much as what the European is going to bring. but it's because it's further south. The GFS is a little bit further south, and it's just by a hair, but it's just enough to make that much of a difference in terms of snowfall across this region, because it's a very close call to begin with. I mean, it's a razor thin, razor thin. So let's take a look at the upper levels. So I'll show you here what the ingredients are for this bomb cyclone, because it's very intricate. Let's take a look at this. Let's move this along. This is the energy that's going to come around the base of this trough that's digging southward, and that's going to bring the storm. But then you also have this energy from the southwest that's feeding into it, and then you're going to get these two pieces of energy. They're going to phase together right along the coast in this baroclinic zone here, and you're going to get surface cyclogenesis in an area that's very favorable for strengthening, and you're going to get this storm system to just rapidly intensify, kind of like a hurricane would. I mean, this thing is going to easily drop 30 millibars in the span of 24 hours. So this thing is going to rapidly intensify just off the coast, and that's why you're going to get these very strong winds and very heavy snowfall rates along the coast of North Carolina while this storm is intensifying, because this is a very favorable region for surface cyclogenesis to occur, and that's where it's happening, because these two pieces of energy. Let me back this up one more time just so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, this brings a storm. This is bringing in extra moisture and extra energy, and then they phase together. Look at this. They phase together. You get this blob of energy here, and then look at that. You get surface cyclogenesis to form. And then let's move this along here. I want to show you what I mean, why it's going to be a very close call for eastern Massachusetts. So this is the GFS model here. Now let's move this. Let's take a look at the Euro. So look where this is, and then let's take a look at where the Euro has it. And I'll show you here. Let me move to the Euro just a little bit further north. Look at this. You can see it better here. This is the European. Let's take a look at the GFS. A little bit south. Just a little, just a tad bit further south. And that's going to result in less snow for eastern Massachusetts. But I do believe that with the negative tilt, I do believe that some precipitation will still be thrown back into eastern Massachusetts, into the cold air, resulting in some snow along eastern Massachusetts. It really depends on how close it will be to the coastline as it's passing up in this region right here, as to whether or not you might see a region of 3 to 6 along eastern Cape Cod versus a coating to 3 for pretty much the entirety of Cape Cod. But it's not going to be a lot of snow, but it's going to be something to watch. And it's a very close call, but I do think a region of 3 to 6, because I do think that this storm is going to be a little bit further north enough to bring some snow across, some accumulating snow across eastern Massachusetts. So I will keep you guys updated. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe.